Hi, I'm Callie Schuttera, and I play Alex's mom in Weapons, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. I'm so excited to be joined by today's guests. Today I'm talking to Callie Schuttera, who plays Mrs. Lilly in Weapons. Callie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. Yeah, super excited to talk to you about the project. I am going to give everyone a fair warning that there will be spoilers in this interview for sure. So if you haven't seen the film, make sure you go watch it. I feel like a lot of you guys probably watching this have seen it though, because an amazing opening weekend box office that you guys have. So first off, congratulations on the success of the movie.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it definitely defied expectations, but I think if you were plugged into the internet horror sphere, you sort of knew that a lot of people were waiting to see this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like as soon as I think even well honestly even before we got a trailer or anything, just knowing that this was Zach's new movie that was going to be coming out because I was such a fan of Barbarian, that this was instantly one of my most anticipated projects of the year. And once again, I think they just absolutely killed it with the marketing this time around again.
Think so too. And they managed to do a great job of getting everybody excited about it without giving too much away, which I think we need more of. You always want to do your best to get everybody to the theater, but you don't want to spoil the good spoilers.
Yeah, and I find for myself now that if there is a project that I'm already sold on, that I'll usually watch maybe the first trailer, if that. If it's something I know, 100%, I might not even watch it at all. But so I'll watch the first trailer, and I managed to avoid any additional trailer or spot for this film until it came out. There was one point a couple weeks ago that I was in at the theaters for another movie, and the trailer, like the new trailer for this came on, and I just looked over at one of my friends and was just talking to him. I was like, "Nope, can't watch the trailer. I'm like this close. I gotta, can't watch it now."
They did a great job. Even those second and third trailers, I think, were very specific. They showed just enough to show you that it was going to be a crazy ride. But yeah, I'm so glad though that you didn't need more convincing to get to the theater.
Yeah, nope, not at all. But yeah, so Callie, what was it, I guess, just about the project in general that really kind of piqued your interest and made you feel like this was something that you wanted to be a part of?
Well, to be honest, Pat, I'll tell you that I'm pretty sure that I might be the only one who had to do the old-fashioned auditioning
Oh
for
wow.
the project. So I was doing another project. I was away in Nantucket, and my manager emailed me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you have time to squeeze this in when you're done, but this is the untitled Zach Cregger project." And I thought, okay, well, we're gonna find time, first of all. And I think this is the first time that I ever was a part of a film where I had so much admiration for a director. So coming into it, it was just something I really wanted. And I got it maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we started filming. But as far as I know,
Wow.
everyone else in the cast either got a direct offer or went straight to maybe like a chemistry read or a meeting with Zach. And I had to send in an old-fashioned tape.
Well, hey, it was worth it. I mean, your performance in the film was fantastic. Now, so how much information did you get about the film? Because we know with the marketing, it was very secretive. Obviously, they didn't want to reveal a lot of things. So, did you get a full script, and how much info did you get about your character specifically?
I did. Surprisingly, I actually got the entire script before my meeting with Zach.
Okay.
So I did my initial audition with just the scenes. And then before doing a callback with Zach and a meeting with him, they sent me the full script. And I remember I had to read it in one night. They said, "Hey, you've got a meeting with Zach tomorrow. Can you read it tonight?" And I was on set for something else, but I was so excited to do this. I was like, of course, I will read the entire thing. Loved the script, was so excited knowing that it was Zach making that script. But I think almost all of us got the full script, so they really trusted us to keep it under wraps all of these months.
What was your reaction to like reading it, and then like what kind of description did you get for Mrs. Lilly, I guess specifically?
So I loved the chapter setup, first of all. I love that formatting of a movie, especially when it's done well. Pulp Fiction, Magnolia. I also really love in Barbarian that very bold switch of perspective. And it doesn't bring you back when you think it's going to bring you back. You keep following a new narrative, which I really loved. Some of my other favorite movies do the same. So I was really excited to see that. I'm also very deep down afraid of witches. I am drawn to them and also very afraid of them. I used to have like nightmares about the Wicked Witch of the West, and
Well, that's fair.
it hit an interesting home place for me. And then for Mrs. Lilly, very little description actually in terms of her character. You really had to discern a lot from the dialogue because there wasn't a lot of actual description of her characteristics. And I actually made a pivot once I got to set. I had been sort of playing her a bit warmer, a bit more classic, just warm mom that you want to get a hug from. And when I got to set and started talking to Zach about it, I realized that this was a happy family, but maybe the parents were missing something with Alex. They weren't quite seeing how the bullying was affecting him, and maybe he was already kind of getting lost in the shuffle. So I took her from a warmer mom to more of a distracted mom, a stressed mom who just wasn't fully seeing her kid.
I love that you were able to add quite a bit of what kind of like your own interpretation to the character. Well, sometimes I feel like that can be challenging. I'm sure it's a lot of fun as an actor to kind of be able to bring your own spin to the character as well.
Well, and also, yeah, and Zach is very collaborative, but also I think it was also his vision that she wasn't this great classic, warm, loving mom, that she had a little more of a darker color in her. Certainly not evil, certainly not, to the level of Gladys, but that maybe he wasn't as comfortable with mom as he was with dad. And that was a color that he was interested in playing with.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys had a killer cast for this film. I mean, Josh Brolin, Julia Gardner, Cary Christopher. Can you just talk about getting to collaborate with all these amazing individuals on this project?
Yeah, well, at first it was terrifying, Pat. It was very intimidating and definitely the best caliber of cast that I've ever worked with, especially just in terms of, not just one big player, but everyone is a giant in this industry. And I felt a lot of pressure coming in, knowing that I had a through line that was significant in the film and I wanted to live up to them. But everyone was so lovely to work with, so kind, so open that dissipated pretty quickly.
And I mean, Julia Gardner, talk about the year that she's having. It's always crazy when sometimes it just lines up that the way that you have all the projects coming out at the same time. But
Yeah.
Wolfman earlier this year, Fantastic Four, now you got Weapons.
Yeah.
It's like, man, just absolutely killing it.
Yeah, I think she does such an amazing job in this film, and the she's both powerful and really subtle in her portrayal of someone with a drinking problem, and but also still a human being who fiercely loves the children she teaches. I think she has so many wonderful colors in this film. I think she does a fantastic job.
Oh yeah, agreed 100%. And can you talk about the transition of your character kind of going from, I know we don't see it until later on in the movie, but going from kind of that living her everyday life and then all of a sudden being under this mind control and how you kind of wanted to portray that transition.
Yeah, yeah. That was an interesting device that I decided to use for that. I do have a 14-year-old, so I was dialing into what it feels like to be an overwhelmed parent, which most parents have felt at some point during their kids' lives. And if you catch, there's a little Easter egg in there that Mrs. Lilly's mom has passed away, which is one of the reasons I think she feels guilted into bringing Gladys into the house. It's also a way to recapture a piece of her mom in her mind. And when Gladys puts myself and my husband under the spell, I sort of took it as, what if a parent had that feeling of giving up and letting go and they really did it and then they got stuck in that place? So that was where I went when we were sort of in that fugue state. It was it was that that place that parents maybe like fantasize about sometimes where they think, oh man, I wish I could shut this all out and just sort of sleep or get away from it. And I
Yeah.
let myself imagine what would happen if that person's wish had come true.
It's a really interesting take on that. I'm curious, what kind of direction did you get from Zach as far as maybe going from that transition, or did he kind of let you play with that yourself?
He really let Wit and I play with that. And I mean a lot of the direction for that was, stay really still. There was one time that Alex was feeding us soup and Zach had to tell me, Callie, you can't help him. You got to stop like going to the soup and trying to help the kid.
That's
You're
natural.
out. Yeah, yeah. There's another great moment where Austin Abrams is trying to, check the alertness of us. And I had a really hard time not laughing while he was in our faces, saying like, "Oh, you good?" Or he snaps in Wit's face, and it was jarring and trying to stay completely out of it and not have any reaction at all. That was harder than it looked.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can imagine it. And speaking of the soup, so was that, I was curious, was that actually soup that they were continuously feeding you guys? Okay, I was like, or were they giving you guys something else or
It was soup. They did allow us to spit it out if we wanted, but they also asked us what kind of soup we liked.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
I chose chicken noodle for the bulk of it, which I will never need to eat again in the rest of my life. But yeah, they did offer us the soup of our choice.
Well, yeah, that's very thoughtful of them, at least to give you guys that opportunity. And I know exactly what you mean. This was years ago, but did a hot dog eating contest. It was me, my brother, and a couple other people. And
Oh,
after that, at least for like a good month, 2 months, wanted nothing to do with hot dogs. I was like, nope, I'm good.
I can imagine that feels like one that would start to feel um yeah, a certain way after maybe what hot dog number three?
Yeah, well, and I also made the mistake. I don't know if you've seen like any of the hot dog eating contest things that are on ESPN or whatever, but they dip the bread in water, and I think it's supposed to help with like the digestion
Yeah.
or something. Well, I attempted to do that, and I do not recommend that doing that for anybody else because it does the consistency. No.
Is it bread paste?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I imagine. I imagine it to taste like similar to, like White Castle bread where it just sort of starts disintegrating.
Yeah, and just all, soggy and stuff. So I
Yeah.
totally understand what you mean, just like wanting to stay away from soup for a little bit. And one
Yeah.
of the other scenes, which I know we saw in the trailers, and I remember for that first trailer, people were kind of pointing out as they were breaking down things that the fork stabbing scene. So can you just talk about filming that, kind of how what went into
Yeah.
filming that?
Well, we definitely didn't realize how iconic it was going to be. I've had people, come up to me doing this motion. I think it'll be my legacy. Um, it was very cool. We did it with a few different forks, so it looks very clean. It looks very, um, like just a couple takes, but we did it with a like a rubber fork. We did it with, or maybe it was styrofoam. It might have been styrofoam. And then we had a real fork that we didn't really touch to our faces. And then we had another one that had kind of like a little CGI square on the end of it so that they could edit it in post. And they sort of whipped back and forth between us, Larkin with the camera. And I don't know if those three shots were composited together, but we used all three of them to try to get the perfect for natural fork stabbing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, as far as watching it, you couldn't tell that those were three different shots, at least in my opinion. But
Oh,
oh,
me neither. Watching it back, it almost looked like they had just chosen one and
yeah.
stuck with it.
But I
So
love that
clean.
kind of stuff. I'm a big, film nerd, behind the scenes stuff. So I was like, I had to ask you as far as that goes. And another scene too, just the whole moment where you and your husband in the film, you guys are chasing after Cary Christopher's character and breaking down the door and terrorizing him. So can you talk about kind of filming that moment as well?
Yeah, yeah. I think we actually did 2 to 3 days just of the chasing and the door knocking down.
Wow.
Mm, that was the only time that Whit and I had a stunt double was to break down the doors. I did still manage to scrape up my arm quite a bit just because you get really committed to it and you're trying to reach in and, grab him. And I would say that was the only day that I felt very demonic as the character. The rest of the time she's sort of creepy and relaxed and like we said in that fugue state, but this is the only time that she really turns on. And yeah, poor Carrie.
I'm sure, and it gave me a little bit. Obviously, moments like that. It reminds me a little bit of Jack and the Shining. Kind of. Did you reference that at all, as far as how you wanted to portray that, or?
I I thought it was pretty hard to avoid the allegory of Jack Nicholson's shot. And I think Zach pretty unapologetically knew that, that was an homage to
Yeah.
that from the beginning. And I think we called it the shining shot. And one of my favorite views, though, is actually where you see the camera looking up. I actually can't even remember if this made it into the movie, but where you see the angle, I think it did, of Carrie's perspective and me coming through the door and coming down trying to grab him.
Yeah.
I think that's still very Shining-esque, but also its own thing. And Larkin did such a great job with the camera on all of this. I mean, honestly, every shot looks iconic in its own right.
Oh yeah, the cinematography in this film is top notch for sure.
So
And
good.
obviously, we've been talking about Zach. I mean, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite new directors. So anytime he has a new project, it's instantly going to be there, kind of day one. So can you talk about just kind of the experience of working with him overall, and what for you personally makes him stand out as a director?
One that he's just very down to earth. He's right there with you. He's not back at Video Village, having his first AD tell you what he wants you to do. He's very hands-on. And because of that, it feels like he's just in the moment with you all the time, which is wonderful. And I'd say the other thing that's really nice is to have a director with such a clear vision. And he was very collaborative, very open to ideas. Wit was constantly cracking jokes that ended up making it into the movie. But at the same time, you really want a director to bring you into their vision. Otherwise, you kind of feel like you're floating in space, not sure what kind of tone you're supposed to be setting. And Zach had such a clear vision, which I think is really apparent when you watch the movie. It's so unique and so specific. And that was really exciting to be a part of.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I can't wait to. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, me too.
Think that is next his next project as far as I saw, and I really hope one day, because I'm a big physical media guy, that where is the release for Barbarian? We need a Barbarian to get released physically.
I know, isn't that weird? I kind of thought they would do it ahead of this release.
Yeah.
You think it's in the Criterion closet somewhere?
I don't know. I don't know what, like, I feel like I remember reading something that it was some weird rights like situation, or some
Yeah.
weird distribution thing. Maybe with this getting its physical release, maybe that will, especially with how well this did, that will cause them to be like, hey, we should probably put this out because people obviously love his stuff.
And it would be cool. We should tell Warner Brothers about this. I think it would be really cool if they did a bundle deal
That
with
would
Barbarian
be awesome.
Weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah, off
That's
the Zach Cregger collection.
yeah, no, I agree. I already got my because they put it up. I got the Steelbook pre-ordered for weapons already, so that was like a day one purchase as soon as it went out.
Cool.
And as a creative yourself, what does it mean or how does it make you feel to see original movies like Weapons do so well, especially at the theaters?
It's a huge relief, honestly. I think as an actor, but also as a producer and a writer, it's terrifying to think that the only thing you're allowed to make is something that has an existing IP. And I think it's very cynical of studios to only think that that's the only thing they're going to make money on. I do realize there's a lot of competing media these days.
Oh
It's not, yeah, you've got video games, you've got TikTok. I am a victim to TikTok a lot. But I think this just proves that there's not only room, there's hunger for new stories to be told, which I hope excites a lot of aspiring filmmakers. I hope it tells them go sit down and write your script and do the script that you are most excited about, the one that you would want to see in theaters. Because I think that's exactly what Zach did. He just truly followed his highest passion for this and for Barbarian.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's worked both times. And then earlier this year, one of my other favorite films right now is Sinners. That's right up there at the top for another
There's
original project. So it's like it is really exciting to see these original projects not tied to IP. Obviously, they have influences from other films, but original projects. And obviously, I'm a big component of going to the theaters, seeing them in person.
yeah.
But and I do gotta agree, there is. And nowadays, and don't get me wrong, I love streaming and all that stuff and all the content that we're getting. But
Yeah.
what you said that there's so much competing content because it seems like almost like every day, but every week it's like you got stuff hitting the theaters, you got stuff hitting streaming, and sometimes I know I feel it myself that it's hard to kind of keep up with all the stuff that's coming out, and I love this stuff, so I can only imagine for the
Agreed.
fans that are casual, goers.
Yeah. And
So
it takes sometimes a viral moment like Weapons to get you there. But I hope it continues. But I'm with you. I'm starting to get to a place in my life where I'm extremely overwhelmed by the idea that I'll never get to watch all the movies I want to see.
yeah.
That's starting to freak me out a little. So I think maybe a hiatus where I'm just watching movies for like 3 weeks is what I need after I finish some of my projects.
No, yeah, I totally understand you there. And have you seen too that another moment that's kind of gone viral is that now I've seen it a bunch of different places, TikTok and Instagram, but just people running out of the theater with their arms, outstretched like the kids.
Yes, I have seen it. My daughter's been doing it, and I think we should have all expected that. But it's fun to see. It's fun to see people having fun with this movie. My one of my favorites is weapons spoilers without context.
Yeah.
Talk. Those are fun, and I love seeing people sort of take this and have their own fun with it and bring it into their own world.
And I'm really now that I've seen the film too, I'm really curious to go into all the breakdown videos and get people's interpretations of what they think certain things meant in the film because there's definitely stuff left in there up for interpretation and we don't get all that information, which I really enjoy. So I gotta start going into that rabbit hole and watching all those.
I'll be curious to see where you come out and which conspiracies you vote for.
Yeah. And just to wrap things up for you, Callie, is there what's next for you and where can fans stay up to date with your work moving forward?
I am on Instagram. I'm a big TikTok lover, but I don't post on there. You can find me on Instagram. And my wife and I are actually producing a horror thriller that she'll be directing, and that starts next week.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we'll be shooting in Malibu. It's a dystopian horror thriller about American refugees trying to get out of the country.
Well, I will be on the lookout for that. And Callie, I'll make sure to put down all your info down below in the description. That way people can stay up to date and look forward to that. I just want to say, Callie, thank you so much for your time today. It's been wonderful, getting to chat with you a little bit and just talk about the film. Thank you so much for your time, and you're welcome back anytime in the future.
Thank you so much, Pat. I appreciate it. Hi, I'm Callie Schuttera, and I play Alex's mom in Weapons, and you're watching Pop Culture with Pat.